everyone. Welcome to another Sunday morning LC podcast. I'm Peter. Today I got Jarrod and Jack with me. How's it going, boys? How was your week?
Pretty good, it was a bit busy. We're getting into the busy season at work, so I'm starting to dread what November and December hold for me. But other than that, pretty good. Can't complain. I've got a job, so that's important.
It's all about the little things.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm doing good too.
We got our first snowfall. I was honestly surprised it took us this long into the year to get it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's been definitely a while since it's taken us this long to get a snowfall, but I mean it's kind of been the first year in a while that we've had a gradual push into winter as well. Like usually we have our hard cutoff where it's like, we're at 25 degrees this week and then it's minus 25 the week following. So it's just like it's kind of nice having that gradual change so you actually don't have to your vehicles don't die, because God, everyone knows as soon as the winter comes, that's when all the engine lights go on, that's when everything fucking goes downhill.
Yeah. That's how she goes.
But no, it's been good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How about you? How are you?
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah, how are you, Peter?
I am good. Same old this week for the most part, but that's not a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that has caught my eye this week is this new game, Genshin Impact. If you guys are anything like me, you've been bombarded with ads nonstop for this game, and I've seen enough. What?
Well, here's the thing. I know it's like a gacha game, isn't it? It's like you open the packs of cards, or you put a quarter in the slot, and you get a little pod with an anime girl inside of it, or something like that. And some of them are more rare, or something like that. And then you do something with these anime girls. It's some kind of like fighting game?
It's an action role-playing game with that features an open world map which the players may freely explore.
That sounds like a Google search.
It happens to be the Genshin Impact Wikipedia search, actually, Peter. The most reliable source I could find on the internet.
Is it like a Fire Emblem Heroes or like Summoner's War, where you're?
It looks similar. Like just looking on first. I've also seen these ads. I just kind of ignore them, but I've seen them pop up all the time when I do have any other app open.
Well, what really got my interest was that it's only been out for 2 weeks. It's a brand new IP. It's made $100 million. Completely, all the development costs gone. 2 weeks. That's all it took. This free-to-play game. And I was like, wow, they must be doing something right. So I looked into it a little bit, but it's just another gacha game. I don't get it. It's just, that's all it is. It looks like Breath of the Wild. It mildly somewhat plays like it, and that's it. Other than that, it's just gacha.
I got to be honest with you. I've been holding off actually looking at anything regarding it because it just seems so popular. It's like that scene from Parks and Recreation where I'm like there and I'm like, I don't know what Genshin Impact is, and at this point I'm too afraid to ask.
There's a lot. Have you guys gone in the App Store lately and just looked at games that are on the App Store?
I stopped doing that because they're all the same, it seems like.
It is all the same. Like you look at a game and it's a literal clone of a game that came out the year before, and the year before game is the clone of the game that came out before that. So it's just I don't know. I don't have any good app. The only app I play on only game I play on my mobile anymore is Stardew Valley occasionally. Because it's an easy one to sit down and play a day and then do something else. But no, I used to play a decent amount of Clash of Clans and stuff like that, and after a while I just started getting steamrolled as soon as I got to the higher levels, and I was just like, well, these people are obviously far better at making defenses than me, or I'm just dumb at attacking places. Either one or both.
Yeah, I'm looking at some screenshots and it looks like the new Pokemon game with slightly nicer textures and slightly nicer character models. It exists in this weird uncanny valley between the new Pokemon game and Breath of the Wild. It looks like It's very like Xenoblade, actually.
Yeah.
It kind of looks like.
It's definitely full on anime.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
I mean, it doesn't
big.
look it doesn't look awful, but I wouldn't. I don't think I'd be able to stay with it for a long period of time.
Well, unfortunately for you, Jarrod, the live connection is now a Genshin Impact channel, so you got a lot to learn.
I'm gonna change my ways.
Start collecting anime girls, Jarrod.
Yeah.
Our success depends on it.
I'll collect all the anime girls for live connection.
Excellent. That's what we wanted to hear. No one else had the balls to do it, but thanks for stepping up, Jarrod.
You're welcome. This game won't intimidate me. Yeah, this is. I'm just looking at screenshots. It's just like. I mean, it looks interesting, but
yeah, I know it's on PlayStation. Is it on Xbox
No.
as well?
Xbox
No, it's not.
is the. I think
it's on Switch.
Yeah, I was about to say. I think Xbox is the only platform it's not on. For whatever reason.
Part of me actually wants to like try it out since it's free and just like see what it's all about.
Well, Jay, who lives upstairs, he's been playing it a good bit. He's been enjoying it. That's another reason why I looked into it a little bit, but I don't know, man. I just feel like it's one of those games where like you'll maybe have fun playing it initially until you get to like the level cap or whenever the end game kicks in, and then it's just all pay to win from there. I assume, you know.
Yeah, totally.
It's like I don't even want to put in time into games like that if I know that's going to be the outcome. Like, why bother?
That's why it's called a gotcha game, because you get invested in. It's like, we gotcha, gotcha wallet.
Yeah,
I'm more of a Raid Shadow Legends kind of guy.
Raid Shadow Legends is also kind of technically a gotcha game, isn't it?
It is.
Like it is. Yeah.
It's like it's similar to that Star Wars Heroes game or whatever, where it's like you can unlock the different. You can be dark side, light side, and you have like 4 characters, and you go through different things and battle it out. It's a similar idea.
There's a lot of games like that. Like, it's just such a popular genre right now. Like, I know Lego just created one. I know that there's the Star Wars one that Jarrod was talking about. There's the Marvel one that I sometimes get ads for on like Instagram.
I didn't know about the Lego
Marvel
one.
Heroes. Yeah.
Oh, look at that! Yeah.
I only knew about the Marvel one, Star Wars one, Raid Shadow Legends, and now that's that style because Genshin's not this style. I don't know. I feel like those games are all right. Like I played the Heroes one for a little bit. I don't know, maybe put a couple hours into it, and then I found that it just didn't have enough drawback for me. But I also don't get interest in those styles of games necessarily. For sure. It has to have a really good story for me to like that kind of game. There was an old PC. I forget what game it was, but there was an old PC game that was very similar to that I played a lot of, and it was pretty fun. But that was when that genre was just kind of starting to, or didn't really have a grip on anything.
I mean, games like this never really have much of a story. It's more about, grinding out like whatever the core gameplay mechanic is at the end of the day. So they might have like a story that you go through for the initial, dozen hours or whatever it is. But once that's up, you're basically just grinding.
Yeah. It's all about the loot, all those numbers.
Because our friend Tyler is a big streamer for Summoner's War, and I've never seen any story elements on any of his streams. So I don't know what's going on there, but it's a lot of grinding, a lot of hoping for those good drops. Those good pulls, as they call them in the gacha games community.
I'm trying to remember what game it is that style that I played. You are like a guardian. It was an old PC game. You basically had you, and then you could have like some pets with you. I'm trying to remember what it was called. It was not. I think Pokemon predates it.
Honestly, Pokemon should make a gacha game. It would probably do really well.
It really would. That's the sad thing.
They literally did a Pokemon game where you had 4 literally took any of these games and just copy and pasted Pokemon over it. They would do well.
How to bankrupt Matt.
I'm thinking,
Exactly.
I'm thinking about it. If they did a Pokemon Gacha game and they did it well, that might actually be kind of fun.
They're set up for it. Like they just got to make the right couple decisions in designing it, and boom, millions of
Holy
dollars.
shit, guys! I pulled a rare Chansey today. I pulled a shiny Chansey from one of my eggs. You can see how like it would totally work as well, like mechanically, like all the things that would happen.
Jack, do you design games?
I do now. $100 million, please, Game Freak, for my totally original idea.
With games that are free like this and have these sort of systems, like if you guys get into them, do you mind paying a little bit of cash for it? Like, does it being free to play change that at all in your mind? Or like justify?
Well, I mean, look at how much money I dumped into Hearthstone over the years before I kind of fell off the wagon. Because we were talking about Hearthstone earlier, Peter. I definitely spent, like not as much as some of like the big Hearthstone fans or big Hearthstone streamers or whatever, but I probably spent somewhere in the realm of $100 or more on expansions and card packs and stuff like that on Hearthstone. So
that's how they get you.
Those Murlocs didn't come from nowhere.
Power is not free.
No.
Man, I don't think I'm ever gonna find it. I don't remember what the name of that game was called. It was pretty popular in middle school. That's all I remember. Middle school. It probably doesn't even exist anymore. If I'm being honest, they probably shut it down. But
are you talking about Neopets?
No, Neopets is great though. That was fucking phenomenal. Yeah.
RuneScape's not a gacha game, Jarrod.
That's true. I achieved what I went into RuneScape to do, which was make my first loaf of bread.
That's it. That's all you had to do. You saved the world with that loaf of bread. Never mind the hours of content.
It's like big games like World of Warcraft though, right? Like I never got into World of Warcraft. I don't think I could. That's a huge commitment.
Peter, you weren't here for the podcast last week, but I pulled up my profile on the RuneScape website to see how much I've put in, because I still play it like on and off.
Oh, it shows
104 days of my life. 104 days.
Oh. Like,
so
you,
Peter,
over a lifetime, but still,
we were gonna say the other day, I'd be interested for everyone to go into their like games played. You can choose if you want to do lifetime or just like Xbox One, but go into your games played and see what total time of your life you've spent playing video games.
Oh,
like just playing.
No.
No. I think it'd be a hilarious video. Excuse me, because it'd be like you'd acknowledge what you've done.
That's gonna cause me great sadness, Jarrod. So many days.
I think it was Wagsy who watches our streams quite often. They played one game for like 114 days and another game for 94 days. So
wow.
I was like, that's some commitment.
Didn't he say that he played like Rainbow Six Siege for a total of like 120 days or something like that?
That was his big one. His big one was Rainbow Six Siege. I was like, I didn't even put that much time into it getting to Diamond. I don't know if I could, unless he had like a good group. But he said in the chat, he's like, he had a good group of friends to play with. So that makes a difference in that game in particular.
Yeah, I'd have to look into it for me. I don't think I've gotten near that close in any game. I don't know
if I have.
I'd just like to see.
No, Overwatch we maybe had like a couple weeks in.
Yeah,
tops,
I was gonna say like a month
each.
tops. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the only game that would come close for me to days would be. I don't even think it would, because even if you complete Mass Effect, right, it's only like maybe 90 hours to complete like the entire thing, do every quest, do all the stories, and I've only beat it 5 times, and I think like even then that's probably one of my most played games next to Fallout. I'd be curious how much I played Fallout 4. I'm gonna open to the Xbox app and see.
Oh yeah, I guess we could just do that this is kind of an interesting topic.
I just gotta go into.
I don't know if you can like sort it by hours played by game. That'd be nice, but
yeah, that would be nice. Because you just go into do you go into achievements for something like that?
Yeah, it's like where you would look at achievements, you look under stats instead. I think that's what it is, at least.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Age of Empires 3 Definitive Edition. I don't think any of the Age of Empires, they're all on PC.
Mm-hmm.
I was hoping they would get put on console as well, but I don't think they have. Really wanted to go back and play those. Let's see.
I never even tried to get into
Xbox
a lot of games like
profile.
that just because I've been restricted to console most of my life. It just doesn't seem like a fun time on console.
Yeah. No. Well, I mean, I remember when Halo Wars came out, and I was like, wow, this is a nightmare to play a Command and Conquer game on console.
Yeah.
I might have to launch up the Xbox. My app's not showing my achievements on the Xbox.
Turns out you have no achievements.
Well, that's not true.
It's so slow. Let's see.
I'd be curious. Actually, I'm gonna go check out how many hours I put into Siege, since that's kind of on the topic.
Guess?
I've played at least 7. I probably played at least 70 to 100 games, and each game takes about 30 to 45 minutes minimum.
Right.
On competitive, anyways. Not when you play casual, they go by pretty quick. But
for some reason, Dead by Daylight calculates it by minutes, so I've got about 30 hours in Dead by Daylight. I honestly thought it would be a little bit more.
Yeah, I was about to say.
God, this would take so long to actually do properly.
You had to do
homework
really beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even logged
Let's
into
go.
my Xbox app, so I was like, no, I'm good.
How much have I put into Civilization? I've put 286 hours into Civilization 6.
That's pretty good. I mean, that's a lot. It's not 104 days though. I'll tell you that much.
It's not. It is nowhere near that. What about Siege? Siege, I put 225 hours into.
There you go. It's just.
I don't know if I could play a game that long.
It's an unfathomably long amount of time. Bear in mind, I've been playing the game since 2006 on the same account.
See, that makes total sense to me. But something like Siege, which hasn't been out that long, that literally thousands of hours. That's crazy.
Even for me, the thing with me, I guess I've never played it with a group of people that I play it all the time with, so that can change that game quite a bit. But I mean, it is pretty massive on the esports scene, right? It has its draws, which is nice because it's not just a go just shoot everything kind of game. It's you actually have to have some strategy behind what you're doing and plan your attacks and stuff like that. I think that's why most people find it easier to maintain interest in it. It's not just I'm not saying Call of Duty has taken many, many hours of my life. That is not that is not to say that's not the case, but I just feel like the only reason Call of Duty's maintain how big they are is because they come out with a new one every year. Otherwise, I think Call of Duty would not last, be as popular consistently.
Mm-hmm.
It's just got that name. The name sells it now.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, I want to see Fallout on Xbox because I just checked on PC. I only had Fallout 4 on PC for a little while. I've already put 27 hours into it.
I put 340 hours into Overwatch.
Okay.
Yikes.
24. So that's 14 days. 14 days I put into Overwatch. That's 14 days I'm not getting back. That doesn't even scratch the surface. That's a tenth of the time I put into RuneScape. Jeez Louise. How do I even justify this? I don't know.
At least you got it's done over a decade and stuff.
Yeah.
The saving grace.
If it had been like 1 year.
6 days, 4 hours, and 25 minutes into Odyssey. That's why I was pissed off. I put so much time into that game to get fucked at the end with that achievement.
That's how she goes.
But let's go down to. I'm gonna do Fallout, and then Skyrim would be an interesting one to see how much time I put into Skyrim.
Yeah, but that's only this copy of Skyrim, not like.
That's true. It'd probably be better to do my PlayStation 3 and see how much time I put into Skyrim, because when it first came out, I played the shit out of that game.
Do you think it'd even show hours, or you'd have to like launch the game and look at your actual save file?
I believe for PlayStation 3, I think it would be under trophies on that one, same as it was here. But I don't remember. I never really looked at this kind of stuff. Just out of pure curiosity, I'm curious how much time Grade and I put into NHL 2019.
Yeah.
Grade and I, that's not too bad. 19 hours, 38 minutes. That's not bad at all.
For an $80 game.
It is kind of frightening, like how much time you can just sink into these things and not even realize it.
Okay, Fallout 4. So, I've put 13 days, 10 hours, and 22 minutes into Fallout 4. Plus another 27 hours. So, 13 days, or I guess 14 days, and 3 hours and 22 minutes, roughly.
Oh, so there you go.
I think I played Fallout 3 more when I had PlayStation 3 than I ever did Fallout 4, but that's a tough one to say.
Mm-hmm.
Just had so much more time back in the day too.
How much did we put into Smite?
Less than Overwatch.
Yeah.
13 days, 22 hours for Smite. How much did we put into Overwatch?
I put in 30 days.
Okay, let's see.
Some people, I imagine some people were higher than me. Some people would have been lower than me.
I like how we were looking at all that stuff. Like Mitch, who leaves his console on, is just like astronomical numbers.
Yeah. If Mitch probably is coming close to my RuneScape record, just on the basis that he kept his Xbox on for days at a time while he lived in Edmonton.
Mm-hmm.
Like going and looking at his profile for like Stardew Valley, he has like 1,000 hours in it that he was probably just sleeping. He's just like, I'm just gonna keep the console on.
Oh.
How long did you say you had Overwatch, Jack?
30 days.
I was under half of what you put into it. I put 13 days into it.
I played a lot of Overwatch.
More because I was playing a lot with you guys.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I played a lot of Overwatch back in the day. What can I say?
Those first 10 days were good, and then from there, kind of just downhill.
Yeah. That's really true.
I think Overwatch really spoiled competitive gaming in general for me. I just don't have any desire anymore.
Yeah, I kind of agree.
Because like it was fun being good at Overwatch, having that wanting to win and the team.
I remember the game.
Rush.
It's Adventure Quest.
Quest.
Did you guys ever play Adventure Quest? It's a Flash-based single-player role-playing game in 2002. Yeah. You could put money into it, or you could just play through it. And I just played through it, and it was I had a blast with it. It was kind of the shittiest like graphics and game engine ever, but it was fun. It was that kind of where you could have your teammates there. You didn't really control them as much as you do in like the current day, like Star Wars Heroes and stuff like that. But you could still be like, you get into combat and be like, here's the enemies on this side, here's you on this side, and it's just like you just would say attack, and it would just go back and forth like that.
Yeah, no, I do remember creating an account, but 5 minutes after creating it, I said this sucks and went back to
RuneScape. Oh man, it was killing me that I couldn't remember. I was gonna kind of bring around. I know you have some other topics, Peter, but I just wanted to quickly touch on Because there was that big thing with Madden, right, where you brought up that Madden they basically copy and pasted over top of the old game, and they had some logo slip ups where the old logo came through. And I recently, as you guys may know, I recently got NHL 2021 because we bought it. They did a lot to that game.
Okay, good. That was
they did a ton.
Found logos.
No. I was gonna say I was actually really impressed. Like they used to focus on Ultimate Teams only for NHL for like probably 5 years there. Once they launched Ultimate Teams, they only focused on Ultimate Teams. Like the rest of their game modes were kind of there. They just import them from previous generations, but they'd always improve Ultimate Teams. Whereas this one, what they've done is they improved Ultimate Teams, but they also put heavy focus onto the more single player game modes. So like Be a Pro has a lot to it. Like before it was, you'd make your pro and you'd literally play hockey and just sim games. It'd be no different than playing Play Now, except you're playing from one person's perspective instead of playing from multiple perspectives. So there was really no big advantage to playing Be a Pro. They've changed it all now where it's like, you have a lot more to take in consideration. So you got to take into consideration like brand, you got to take in consideration like there's a lot more. They tried to make it more realistic to how the players actually what they have to go through when they're going through a career in the NHL. So I think it's really neat. It's not obviously appeal to everyone because some people just want to play the game and they're just like, fuck it, whatever.
I was about to say, the first thing I want to do when I boot up a video game is be a brand manager for a sports team.
No, you're not a brand manager. No, I'm saying like you have to worry about like when you make you have to do interviews with your player. You have to do like choices with your coaches, and depending on your choices can impact how your brand is, can impact how your management team sees you, can impact how you move up lines, can impact how you perform, all that kind of stuff. And so they've added a lot more where it's not just, play hockey. If you score a lot of goals, you'll become first line on that team. It's now if you score a lot of goals, yeah, you'll be sought after on the team, but you have to be good in multiple areas to move up and become a better player in the game. So they've put more depth into their game. And I was really impressed with that because for the longest time, like I play Be a Pro just because it helps you work on skills like stick handling skills and stuff in the game when you're not trying to switch between so many players. Which is, don't tell Graydon that because that's one of the reasons that I've always beat him when we play is because I always work on my stick handling separately. But but when you're playing it, it's nice to play that. And it was nice seeing them change it up because they did that a bit to GM mode before in the last generation of games. They did they upped the GM mode where it's like, have to take in consideration what a GM would do, which is like facilities and all that stuff, making money for the whole team as a whole. But no, they did a lot for the game, and I was impressed because I was kind of worried, Peter, after you brought up the whole thing with Madden. I was like, oh fuck, because I'd already pre-ordered it. But see, Greg and I kind of we've always bought the games for that, like we buy them to play with each other. We don't buy them for this magnificent game. I really don't need it to be this super in-depth game because that's not what I buy it for. That's just not what it is. But no, it's kind of nice to get it and then be like pleasantly surprised with the fact that they actually put some time into improving these different mechanics of the game. So I'm curious to see down the road once they start doing a few more reviews on it. I'm genuinely curious to see what the new ratings are because I know for 2020 and 2019 the ratings were kind of shit, and you almost can base it on NHL games like that, but. No, I was pleasantly surprised. They did a good job. The AI are actually smart, which is something new to a sports game. I'm used to seeing dumb AI where you can just fuck around with them. They actually learn from you. They're adaptive learning. So it's like if you make a move on them and then try to make the same move the same way, you'll be very unsuccessful doing it. So it's kind of nice to see that because that's more realistic to how players would interact with you anyways, right? Yeah. But it was I was really happy. It was just something that I was thinking about when you brought up the Madden stuff. I was like, it's nice to see that not all the sports games were just copy and paste pieces of shit.
Well, Jarrod, I'm glad you brought that up because sadly the bad news is not done with the EA Sports.
Oh boy! Oh, great.
Now,
spoke too soon, Jarrod.
Another thing that surprised me this week: IGN impressed me. I was.
Oh
yeah, that does not happen every day. So EA released FIFA on the Switch, and it's yet another copy and paste. So what IGN did, and they just stated this outright in their tweet, they copy and pasted their review from last year and slapped it on this one with a lower score.
Eric and I were talking about that. I found it so funny. I was laughing so bad when they did it.
IGN, are you taking a stand? Do you have your own opinion? No.
My goodness.
No.
Man, it's yeah, that was funny. I thought that was very comical what they did.
Mm-hmm.
Like, talk about a slap in EA's face, because I'd say they're probably the most well-known reviewer of games. They're not the most well-liked reviewer of games, but they're probably the most well-known.
The reviews get a lot of eyes on them.
Yeah. That's actually kind of something that Eric and I were talking about too with IGN, just as they're the topic here, is I don't mind watching, because their production is really good for their reviews and things like that. I don't mind watching their reviews to see what the game is like. I don't really listen to what they say about the games when they're reviewing them, but I don't know. I find their still videos are nice to watch to see what the games are like.
For me, anytime I want to know, like, I always just go to YouTube for reviews. None of the companies or anything. But rather,
no, I go to ACG a lot, or AGC. I forget what the acronym for it is. It's a YouTuber. They do a bunch of reviews on it. They do good quality. But I don't mind getting a look at what they have to say, because they do get the game like way before most people do. So it's kind of nice to get that bit of an insight. But yeah, that was kind of funny. I appreciate their humor that they did there. I mean, maybe they're trying to figure out now. Maybe they're actually deciding is this a turning point for IGN? Is this IGN becoming a more credible source of information?
Let's not get too excited here, Jarrod.
Yeah, really.
I'm looking at those silver linings, Peter.
I'm glad you can see with the glass half full.
Oh man, Eric and I started playing. I say that as if we made it anywhere in the game. We launched up and got Dead Island going. I think we should do a recording of Dead Island.
Why are you touching Dead Island?
Why are you doing that?
It was on Game Pass, and it's just hilarious. It is easily one of the funniest zombie games ever. There's zero scariness behind it, and the best part is when they try to be scary at certain parts in that game, and you just get a good laugh out of it. It runs like shit still. Everything about that game just runs like shit.
Remember when the cinematic trailer dropped for Dead Island and everyone was so excited?
They're excited, and they also did a cool thing where they did the reverse trailer. That's like one of the first times I've seen that happen, which was really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, everyone was hyped. They're like, this is going to be a great zombie game. It comes out. It's like a shitty version of Dead Rising.
Yeah, really. It's like they put all their money into the cinematography of the trailer, and then that was it.
Yeah. It is.
Oh, man.
Part of me does kind of want to go back and play it, to be honest with you. Just to see,
I was going to suggest we do a recording, because I think it'd be funny to go play like older games and see like the game mechanics that you struggle to play with, and I think it'd be funny.
It was during that period where like zombies were just the hottest thing on the block. I think that probably helped contribute to like the downfall of the zombie genre a little bit.
Yeah.
I think people became disillusioned with it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, there was like 2-3 years where it was non-stop zombie games. Like after The Walking Dead came out, and
in the media, people like World War Z. We need more Walking Dead, and it's like no one's doing this well. No one is doing any justice to zombies.
No, there was like I think only
Dead Rising.
I was gonna say one of the few that did a good job of it is State of Decay. They did a good job with the survival zombie aspect, but there's still game mechanics in those that are just kind of eh.
Zombies are just so at this point for me. It's like
I
don't care.
I agree.
I don't care.
They're boring. Like they're so boring, and just come up with something new, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I mean, Resident Evil's done a great job with them revamping the whole zombie in their series, but yeah, for the most part, I agree. Like they no one's doing it well, so they just why are you doing it? Like DayZ, you know what? I'm gonna be honest here. We played DayZ for a couple minutes, and I know that the issue with us with DayZ is that we got into it and we couldn't find anything because that game has a constant like map that's being looted, and you have no chance of finding shit in that game unless you luck out. But the game looks like trash, and I feel like a company that has been doing that style of game for that long, and a game that they can easily send out updates for, it looks like poo. Like the whole game just runs like poo as well.
I did enjoy that one recording session we did of DayZ, but I don't think I could play it for much more than that.
That was the one we were trying to find each other the whole time, wasn't it? And then when we finally found each other, Eric and I got absolutely slaughtered by these two.
No, we did it a couple. We did it a couple months ago, where it was like the four of us.
No, you're thinking of World War Z.
Oh, World War Z. That's right. Yeah, we were.
No, DayZ's like the Arma. Arma
game is
game.
so generic that I can't even keep them straight.
Because like Arma 3 got good reviews and people enjoyed it, the gameplay of it, and then they made like I think it was originally a mod, wasn't it? DayZ was originally a mod of Arma, and then they changed it into a full-blown game. And they just didn't do anything for it. Like the mod was made quite a while ago when Arma 3 came out, and then they were just like, here's the mod again in a separate game. Here you go. Yeah, I don't know. It did not. There's not a lot that are going well with zombie games right now. It's pretty unfortunate.
Yeah, you know what? Let them die until they can either come up with an innovative idea or
like
something.
Dying Light was excellent. That game was phenomenal. I thought they did an excellent job. They took aspects of what Dead Island was trying to do. They added a new mechanic where they didn't really have a parkour zombies, which was cool. It made it more interesting. And it actually genuinely had one moment where I actually was scared in that game, and that was the first time you see nighttime, because they don't prep you for the first time you see nighttime, and it is dark. Like even with your brightness settings up on that game, it is dark. Like you can't see shit, and all you see is these giant ass mutated zombies that are coming at you, and they're fast and aggressive. And I just remember Graydon and I trying to survive our way back to the hotel because we stayed out too long. And then I like that. Like I like how they had something unique. They need a unique take on the whole zombies, not just the usual here, go do this, because too many games do that already. You already have that. You don't need more of it. Like State of Decay kind of runs the survival end of that, I think, for like just the make a group of survivors and survive.
It's like it takes like simulation, and like that's its unique factor, and then just based around zombies.
Yeah, and then a lot of companies try to make games that are similar to it. It's just like, let them do that. Try to come up with something different. They do it well. You don't do it well.
I remember when Undead Nightmare came out for the original Red Dead, and people were giving it flack because people were starting to see that if you want to make money, just add zombies to your game. And then Red Dead actually did it really, really well. And then nobody was able to really do that because they were basically just adding zombies into a game that already had really good mechanics. Like it was mechanically sound. And that makes sense. Whereas a lot of these other people are trying to make a zombie game, and they're like, well, it's a zombie game, so it's a first-person shooter, and these are the mechanics from all the other zombie games. Like, no, like, have a good, like, core gameplay concept first, and then, like, go through what the game is actually going to be like.
I think the one way they could do a good zombie one that I'd be actually pretty interested in is if they did something similar to, like, how they're doing the style of game, that heavy RPG style of game, like Witcher or something like that, and had that set in some sort of zombie universe. I think that could be done well, because then you're that single person. It's not multiplayer. Don't deal with the multiplayer. Just do your single player. Really focus on those good mechanics and add some unique mechanics to it. And I think you could make a pretty good game. But that would take time. Like I'd be curious to see how long they've like from start to finish, how long they worked on The Witcher 3, and from start to finish, how long they worked on Cyberpunk's 2077. Because to me, if you're gonna make a game really good that's zombies, you need to up how the quality of it, because there's just volume, right? Like there's just so many of them, and they're all shit. Like if they took time to make a quality one and really developed it, really made it RPG sound, graphically appealing, and play well, I think you'd have a good game. But right now we're not really in a period of time where people are taking their time making games. They're kind of just pumping games out.
Have you heard of Days Gone?
I've heard of it. I haven't played it, or I haven't really looked into it.
PlayStation exclusive, single player, but based around zombies. Its unique factors that you're a motorcycle gang guy, so you go around your motorcycle, and there's giant hordes of zombies that you kind of.
Wasn't it based off of the guy from Walking Dead? Wasn't that like their figurehead for it? Daryl? Wasn't Daryl their figurehead for Days Gone?
I remember people were so excited for Days Gone, and then it was like one of the biggest like ball drops of all time for the PlayStation.
Because people were like, PlayStation single player exclusive? Hey, we're in. But then they got it and we're like, this isn't Uncharted. What is this?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it'd have to be left up to a company like maybe CD Projekt Red to do a good zombies game, but I don't think they'd waste their time with it. That's the thing, right?
I don't think any good developer is going to bother with zombies anymore. No. I mean, I don't think it would work in something like The Witcher at this point, because The Witcher is already about fighting other monstrosities. That's a huge part of the core gameplay loop where you're.
But I'm thinking like more a game that's like a similar style. That's a different game altogether.
I understand what you're going. I'm just kind of pointing out why I don't know if that would necessarily work. I think Days Gone is kind of an interesting comparison, because that is kind of what they did. Make that single player. Not RPG, but almost like
to me, it would have to be an RPG. I think you'd almost need that RPG element to make the game if you're going to do that style of game, like an open world. I don't know. It'd be tough. They'd have to do it really well in order for me to be interested in it. It wouldn't be a game I'd pre-order. It'd be a game that I'd see how it did after it launched and then made my decision.
I mean, Dead Island 2 is still a thing apparently. It's still in development hell.
But that's gonna be like, that's one of those games you almost have to worry, right? Like there's like a good golden development time where it's like everything is still up to date, but we're also taking our time to make this good game. And then there's games that I forget, there was another game that was in production forever and they released it and the graphics were shit. Like it did not meet quality standard to what the current standard was.
What was it? Final Fantasy 15? That was.
I think that might have been it.
People loved Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah, I didn't think
Duke Nukem Forever did really badly.
Yeah,
that was in development hell for a long time.
I just know that it's like I have that worry. Like if a game's been in development for too long, especially after if it's a sequel to another game, then I get concerned, because I'm like, I don't think you're going to do a good job because it's been taking you far too long. The amount of engine updates that you'd have to do along the way is just stupid to make
Probably worth mentioning that Dead Island already had a sequel called Dead Island Riptide, and it didn't.
I remember that. Yes, I played that.
It was much worse.
It was horrible.
The original Dead Island looks like Citizen Kane next to Dead Island Riptide.
Like Dead Island 2, it's now been passed between 4 different developers. That alone is just nightmare material.
That's red flags. That is like 8 million red flags just shot up when you said that.
I'm just gonna say it. I don't like zombies anymore. I hate zombies now. As soon as you put the word zombies on something, I'm like, I don't care. I've lost interest. Give me something new. Unless it's a new Undead Nightmare, I don't care. But Rockstar doesn't do expansions anymore, so that's never gonna happen.
It'd be neat if they came out with like if they did it like, even if it was not necessarily an expansion but a separate game. They did Undead Nightmare, because didn't they do that for a while? You could buy Red Dead with. Oh no, I think you just bought it with the expansion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you could buy it like as a standalone disc as well
Yeah.
for a little while.
Yeah, that's
Or you
so
could,
I was right.
you could buy the disc, the new disc that had like Undead Nightmare preloaded on it for a while.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, they could always do that. I'd be interested in that.
Yeah.
If they put in like Red
yeah.
Dead 2's world, but
Unfortunately, Rockstar has realized that there's so much more money to be made off of selling in-game currency. So as soon as the base game has been released for one of their worlds, they're not doing much with it outside of multiplayer anymore. And they've gone
what do you
as far
think?
to say that.
What do you think? Is GTA? Do they have what's their next product they've announced? Have they announced anything else that they are working on? Are they working on another?
People think they're working on Bully 2, I think.
Yeah, a lot of speculation about Bully 2. Bully 2 is kind of their cult classic from the mid 2000s.
I played Bully on PlayStation. Yeah, that was fun. Or was it PlayStation? I don't remember. I had an Xbox for a short period of time there before I played a little bit of it, and then the new consoles came out. But that'd be good. I'd be interested in that.
Yeah.
I'm very curious to see what Rockstar does in the future, because I think Red Dead 2 showed a lot that their game design needs to evolve. It needs to adapt to what current games are like. Like Red Dead 2 was great, but it was just they wanted you to do it this way, and that was that. And I understand from the storytelling perspective that was necessary, but I don't know. It felt restricting in some elements.
They almost needed to give you you not necessarily have a ton of choice, but even give you those few choices.
Yeah.
Right. Like maybe have a dual ending or two different endings where it's like, did you go along more with the shittiness? And I mean, you could have tied them all back because it was a prequel, right? So you could have tied them all back to Red Dead 1. It would have been very challenging because you already had a set end line that you needed to go to. But
so I know what you're saying. Red Dead 2 did technically have 4 different endings, like very minor ones for Arthur's story, depending on if you went back to get the money or if you helped John escape and what your honor was. So that's not, it wasn't anything major, and it didn't change how the game ended from John's perspective. But there are some slight variations depending on how you played the game. And I agree, the choices that they did give you in the game were pretty shallow, but it's a Rockstar game. I wasn't really expecting to have any choices at all. So I think they could have just done away with that and things would have been fine.
Yeah, no, it was a good game overall. I really enjoyed it. It was a long game, but it was very pretty. Like, it was aesthetically pleasing as shit. All right, every time I think about it now, I just think of Pierre's small horse in comparison to everyone else's horse when we played multiplayer.
I forgot about that till just now. Thank you, Jarrod.
That's one thing they could have done better on, is their multiplayer for that one.
Oh, it's just so hard with GTA Online. Like,
that's really fair. Yeah.
There's no comparing, like, that's what's hard.
I've gone back occasionally and played some GTA 5 online just to like see, because I mean, I got that penthouse, so I thought I might as well do a few things with it. The issue is, at this point, there's no point in playing by yourself online because people are just gonna fuck you up, like, easily. They just mess you up. Like, you need a group, and then people will leave you alone, essentially.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm very curious to see. There's a few companies that I'm interested to see where they go forward from where they're at right now, just with their games and how past games have gone for them. Like, I'm curious. BioWare's on that list. I'm very curious where Bethesda goes now that they're acquired by Microsoft. Because I feel like the quality standards are going to be kind of fired up their ass now, with Microsoft being the basically the overseer of them. So I'm really curious. I'm curious to see with them in collaboration with Obsidian now, because they're both owned by Microsoft. So it's not like Bethesda can say fuck you to Obsidian anymore. So I'm curious where games go with it. Like I'm genuinely I'm excited to see where it goes, and I'm hoping they do really well. Because I don't know, I know, like, I don't know, I'd like to see. I don't know if Mass Effect should come back again. Period. I think Mass Effect should be done. But I'd be curious at what I'd be down for another kind of spacey kind of game like that.
Sounds like you'd be excited for Bethesda's Starfield. That was it.
Starfield. I'm interested, and I think I'm a little more confident now that, again, Microsoft owns them, that Starfield might actually hold some standards. Because a talk like this also, to me, doesn't happen overnight. Like, they didn't just make that. They didn't just say, "Oh, Bethesda, here's this much money. You're ours now." Like, they discussed it, right? Like, it would have been a discussion that would have been happening over a period of time.
Send a couple billion in the mail.
So, yeah, exactly. Here's the prepay. We'll pay the rest once you say yes.
Yeah.
But no, I'm interested to see how it goes. I'm skeptically optimistic. Like I'm I'm not going to pre-order Starfield by no means, because Bethesda. Is it on Game Pass?
It will. It's Bethesda game. It's going on Game Pass day one.
That's fucking insane. Then I'll play it. I'll definitely play it. I am curious to see where what was it? I'm curious to see how similar, because people keep thinking it's going to be like basically a Fallout clone with in space. That's essentially what they're thinking it's going to be. Which, I mean, you could say that about literally every RPG being a clone of another RPG and then just putting it in a different setting. But I'm curious. I'm excited for it. I think it'll be fun. And now that I know it's on Game Pass, I'll get it. But it's interesting to see what they were talking about, because Bethesda, I think it was Pete Hines made an announcement or a comment, because people were asking, "Oh, does this mean Bethesda games are going to be exclusive to Xbox, like Elder Scrolls and Fallout and Starfield and so on and so forth?" And he did make a comment. He's like, he did make a comment that he said Elder Scrolls 6 wouldn't have to be ported to the PlayStation in order for Xbox to make their money back from that buy. They were saying outright, they were like, they could easily keep it an exclusive and they would make their money back from the buyout.
From the one title.
Yeah, so and I mean, they can say that confidently, because look at how it's sold in the past. Like, Skyrim has to be one of the most sold games ever. Like,
but billions? Like, hasn't GTA only made like $1 billion or something?
No, GTA's made a few billion.
Oh, has it?
It broke $1 billion in like the first couple of weeks, I think.
Oh.
I'm gonna see how much
just on sales.
But
now it's made, because we've discussed this before.
Mm-hmm.
Like, GTA's made a stupid amount of money.
But just thinking, like, so that's one title too with microtransaction, and even if it made $3 billion, I assume Elder Scrolls, be single player, no microtransactions.
It might have been taken out of context. He might be saying for their titles in general. He might have been just using Elder Scrolls as an example, because it is going to be one of their bigger titles, arguably, that they release. I think he was more or less saying that it's like Bethesda could easily become an exclusive producer for Xbox, and they would make their money back from Bethesda games as a whole, instead of having to worry about porting it to multiple consoles in order to make their money from that buyout. Because that was a pretty massive buyout. Like, that's a major. That was a lot of game companies bought in one go by Microsoft. And I mean, some people look at it, it's like, oh, Microsoft's making their monopoly and all that stuff. But it's like, at the same time, it's kind of nice for games that are struggling with quality standards to get bought by someone who is will be a little bit more on them about that kind of stuff. Like, they've outright said that Bethesda has its rights to do what it wants to develop games. They're not doing what EA does, where EA is like, BioWare, fucking get this game done in like 2 months. Right? They've said that they're going to give them their free roam to develop good games. But I don't know. I'm excited for it. I think it'll be good. I'm curious about what it's like, right? Like how much of a clone is it, or is it really unique in its own way?
I don't know. It's just very curious to me that they haven't said anything about it in years and years now. Like that.
I mean,
that's
they
a
used
bad
to.
sign to me.
Bethesda used to never announce until the game was coming out.
No, but I guess, but
right? Like they'd have rumors or they'd have slips and stuff where people would be like, "Oh, this game's definitely coming out," but it would never be confirmed until the year that it was coming out. I think the only exception is when they're working on games with other companies that the other companies decide they want to. Like I know for Doom, they don't really hide Doom. They pretty much announce that they're making a new Doom as soon as they're making it, right? But that's also been ID Softworks way the whole time. Like even the first Doom, they literally, as you saw, like anyone who watched that documentary on Netflix, the game development documentary for the early games. Did you watch that, Jack?
I watched the first couple episodes. I don't remember seeing Doom.
It's in the one of the final ones.
Yeah.
They were like they announced and gave themselves a hard deadline before they even had the game in production, and then they made the deadline, but that was that original Doom. I don't know. I think that never really worries me because Bethesda's always kind of been like that, where they don't really announce things entirely until they're completed. They'll tease shit, but they never really say much on their stuff until it's done, which can be a bad thing because you get super big hype and then you have something like what happened with Fallout 76 when it first launched, right? Where they did that. There is reviews, like if you look at reviews now where the game's at, the game's not bad now, but it's too late, right? Like they've already lost the draw to the game, and people are already tired of they don't want to play it. Like they don't want to spend the money on it regardless of whether the game is good now or not. They don't want to put the time into it.
Yeah, they lost their window. That's it. Like I don't care if it's good now.
No, and that's what I was kind of saying when I saw that review. I was like, that doesn't matter really. Like I know it's good because I've played it now since they've released everything, and it is a good game. It's not my favorite game to play because I'm not a big fan of a Fallout that's a big MMO. I'm more of a invite a few friends and play Fallout kind of guy. But I don't know. I think they'll be fine. I'm not too worried that Starfield hasn't had a ton released on it. It's just their style. That's just how they do their thing. I'm just hoping this time it's not like Fallout 76 where they're like, we're not going to say anything. It's releasing this year, and then it just turns out to be poo. Right? That's my only worry.
Jared's been talking for so long, I don't know what we were originally talking about.
What were we originally talking about?
We're talking about like Rockstar and how game developers are changing with times and how you hope a certain group of developers.
And then you asked me which developers you said is BioWare in that list, and I was like, yeah, them and some others.
They all need to change. The entire industry has to change. Like everything feels so generic a lot of the time. Like I know I've said this before, and whenever I say it, I think we take it to mean that I'm like tugging on Peter's dick or something like that. But Peter and I are of a similar mindset that indie companies are the only ones doing anything interesting nowadays, really. At the end
they're
of the day.
only ones that are stepping outside of the circle. Like it's like, here's everyone else. And then indie developers are like, oh, let's try something over here. Let's go over here, see what this does.
There are such few AAA games that make me feel anything. Like a handful.
Yeah.
On one hand, I could probably name them out. What indie games have more consistently done that? I don't know. It's the ability to stand out from a crowd. It's inherently AAA games won't do that because they want to make their money. They're gonna do what works. That's where the true draw of indie games comes for me.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Even if it's like a really small indie game and there's not like a whole lot mechanically going on, or if it's even just like a mediocre or like, fun for a couple hours type deal, I often feel so much more enjoyment having played it and experiencing it just because it's something different. It's something unique that I'm not used to. Like, I don't want another Fallout game unless they do something new and exciting with it. I don't want another Grand Theft Auto game unless they find a way to push the envelope. And AAA studios are proving to me that they don't know how to do that, and they just want to make their money.
Well,
I'm kind of, I'm like, I don't know. I feel like I'm pretty. I mean, for lack of a better word, I'm pretty vanilla when it comes to my gaming. Like, I stick to a pretty dedicated set of genres, and I haven't really stepped too far outside of that. I find I have a hard time getting into new things. Like, that's where I find my difficulty is, like that, and that's why I have a hard time with, like, I know Eric will tell me it's like all these games on Game Pass, and it's like Dragon's Dogma he recommended I play because of what my style of game is. I didn't really like Dragon's Dogma, to be honest. I played a little bit of it, and it was like, it was okay. It wasn't really what I look for. I agree with you, Jack, that they definitely need to start doing adding new things to the AAA games, because, like you said, like, Fallout's been Fallout forever. Like, Fallout 3 was really no different from Fallout New Vegas. Fallout New Vegas was really no different from Fallout 4, and they haven't really done anything big. They actually digressed with Fallout 4 by making it less of an RPG and more of a singular story. But I don't know. Like, I think I agree. Like, you need that. You almost need to have these big companies contracting indie developers for just the game design. like purely just get new developers in there just to see, like, what haven't we done in a past game that we can do in this game to make it unique.
I just don't see anything changing because it's working. They're making lots of money. Why should they change?
Well, see, I think Bethesda will, because they didn't make as much money. They actually didn't make enough money on their Fallout 76 to make up for their loss.
Yeah.
Or for what they put into it. So I think when that happens to a company, I think then you'll see change. I think that happened with BioWare's Andromeda too. Didn't they not make as much money as they spent on production for that game?
I know it didn't do well. I don't know any details.
So I think it takes that. I think companies will just keep pushing out as long as people just keep buying it, until they don't do well, right? Like, Call of Duty is never not going to do well. Advanced Warfare, which is probably the worst Call of Duty that has ever been released. I think Grade and I were the only ones of this group that bought that game, and it was shit. Still sold like a Call of Duty would sell. So it's like, you're never going to see unique things on Call of Duty. That's it. They're where they are. They'll constantly pump out the same redone game with a different title. No, I think indie developers, but it's like, as soon as an indie developer sees success, how do they stop from becoming the same thing? Right? Like, how? Because usually if an indie developer sees success, they get offered a deal by one of the other companies to purchase them.
I think a large portion probably do, but it's those who don't that stand out. Like, off the top of my head, I think about Toby Fox and Undertale. I think about Stardew Valley developer Chucklefish. Concerned Ape.
Well, see, to me, he's super unique because he fucking made that whole game on his own, and now only thing he does is have a team for updates to help him keep up with it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's people like that and small companies like that where the magic truly happens. I think the people with the vision and the ambition to do it exactly as they think, as their artistic direction brings them.
Well, that's literally how an area, like a thing, changes, right? Like, that's how a industry changes, is by unique thinking from a smaller group. It's rare that you see the industry change by one of the industry giants. It's super rare you see that. I mean, just off the top of my head, probably the easiest example for everyone to understand would be like when Microsoft dominated the computer industry, and then Apple came out with the personal computer instead of a business computer, right? Like, that was industry changing for them.
What about like Apple and like no headphone jack, or Apple and now no fucking charger block?
See, that's just stupid. Now they're fucking just pissing me off. But I'm saying like changing the industry. Like, I'm saying like major changes like that. Like, to me, that's a dumb move. They'll still sell because they're like the Call of Duty of computer products. They do the same shit every time. They release an update in the form of a new piece of technology worth $1,000 instead of being like, oh, here's an update for the old phone that you can put a software update on. Instead, let's just fucking, here you go. Here's a new piece of metal and glass that we put together for you to use. I mean, that's all phone. In all fairness, that's like the industry as a whole with phones. But Apple does it a lot with like everything they have.
That's what they do.
So it's like they used to be the small guy that came in, and they're still small in comparison to like the other giants that are in the industry.
What? Apple, you're saying?
They're dwarfed to Microsoft. You cannot even compare Apple to Microsoft.
Well, sure, but Apple's also like a fucking behemoth. Microsoft just doesn't.
No, I'm saying a dwarf in that specific industry. Like in comparison to the people around it.
I think I understand what you're saying, but I'm gonna have to press the disagree.
Yeah, I don't think the math quite adds up on that.
I will literally. Let's look. I'm gonna look this up. You guys can continue on a different conversation.
I don't know, Jared. I think you're gonna Google some stuff and you're gonna be like, oh shit, Apple. I don't know if you know, but Apple sells a couple computers every year.
A few, at least. I mean, yeah. What were we talking about? Computers?
Jared got excited and is like. Usually I'm the one doing that.
Yeah, or Matt, but Matt's not part of the podcast anymore. So, oddly enough, I want to bring that up a little bit. What Matt would typically talk about, because it seems like the only AAA like developer that I can really trust to give me something new and interesting is probably Nintendo. Honestly,
that is true.
And they're the only one who I trust to make sequels of their own games and like make them new and refreshing. And they don't always hit the mark, but you know, sometimes you get that Super Mario Odyssey pushing the envelope of the 3D platformer. You know, now and then you get that Breath of the Wild pushing their, you know, trademark RPG forwards, you know, in a way that it hasn't been done in decades. Every now and then you get the new Animal Crossing game that brings legions of people into the casual gaming sphere and keeps them occupied for months on end.
Yeah, with Nintendo, it seems like when it rains at porters, they either fuck up real bad and get like the Wii U, or they nail it like they've done in the past like 2-3 years.
Yeah.
I never quite understood. Like I always viewed Animal Crossing as like a Harvest Moon style of game, and then it isn't really. It's like. No. Like I've looked at it. I just don't know if I'd put in the time that I see a lot of people put into it.
Be honest with you, Jared, I don't think it is your kind of game. I don't even think it's my kind of game really, but I enjoyed, you know, the hours that I did put into it. But there's just not enough substance on the back end. It's a game where you kind of have to make your own meaning in a lot of ways. There's nothing to really work towards, which is what kind of gets me. But some people love that. Some people love the open-endedness of it.
I like having I like a goal. That's my thing. But I mean, I guess you kind of make sub goals. Like you have like Stardew Valley, for example. Like, yeah, you have your goals in that game of like complete the community center or finish this objective for the town. And then I have like my sub goals of like making a certain amount of money per day from crops or like whatever. I don't know. I feel like it'd just be tough for a game that's that open. I just don't have enough substance in it. I don't think I'd get enough from it. I think I'd play it. I'd probably enjoy it for the short period, and then I wouldn't really touch it.
Well, that's exactly what it was like for me. Because the difference is Stardew Valley lights a fire under your ass, and you're like, you gotta get these things done. You have X amount of time.
And it sucks, but it's great.
Before Grandpa's ghost is gonna come and judge your farm. And it's like, okay, I gotta go. I gotta rebuild Pelican Town. And also, you just go to bed every night, and then it's the next day. With Animal Crossing, unless you're doing the time-skipping mechanic in the game's clock, then it's in real time.
Oh.
So if it's nighttime wherever you live, it's nighttime in Animal Crossing. If it's winter where you live, it's winter in Animal Crossing.
I would never get anything done. I'd be at nighttime all the time. I'd be like, okay, it's time to farm.
Well, that's the thing. Like Animal Crossing, you have to be so diligent with it, and you have to like plan like real time around it. So if you can only play, at 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock at night, then you're playing from 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock at night in Animal Crossing.
See, that's where it gets me.
It's a lifestyle.
It is a lifestyle. It absolutely is a lifestyle. It's such a interesting way to do things, but it's so diminutive because there's so little it feels like you can do. Once you've like done all the stuff on your island or your town for the day, it's like, well, I guess I'll see you guys tomorrow.
I mean, that's kind of why I liked games like very different games, don't get me wrong, but that kind of style where it's like you can only do so much in that day and then you can't do anything else until later. Is like that's why I liked Clash of Clans and stuff like that, because I could only do so much in that day without spending money on like gems and shit. And I don't know, I kind of like that. That's the kind of mobile like game I need. That's why I feel like then Animal Crossing might be a good one would be not a bad one for me, but I just don't use my Switch enough.
You're like, if you add microtransactions to Animal Crossing, then I'll like Animal Crossing.
No. What I'm saying is that since you only can do so much, and then you have to basically put the game away until the next day. That kind of appeals to that style. Like a casual game like that would be fine that way. It's if I can do endless things. If I can just endlessly, like, constantly do shit, then I don't know. I don't.
Well, I think Eric and I were talking about this. Animal Crossing is a casual game in the sense that you can play it at your leisure whenever you want. But Animal Crossing is by far the most hardcore game that I think I have ever played in terms of like what you can do and how you're supposed to do it. Because you do have to like put that kind of time in, and you have to wait a long period of time if you want to get everything done properly. And it's not like a casual experience to do it the right way.
That's fair. I see Peter shaking his head. I feel like that's not a game Peter would ever play.
No, I have no desire to play Animal Crossing. It's just
I was tempted to get it, and then I just didn't. I don't know if I could. I don't think I could say that me spending that kind of money was worth it for that game. That was my thing. Like for what I play, because I don't play very often, and the times I do play, I want to like make it a good experience. I'm not saying Animal Crossing is not a good experience, but I just feel like I have other games that I'd spend my money on first. Like I still got to play Breath of the Wild, and I'm just been having a hell of a time just sitting down. In all fairness, I've been studying lots, so that kind of makes up for that. But studying and working lots. But I've been thinking about getting into it sooner here. Creighton loaned it to me, so
yeah. We've got to be getting close to the end here, right?
We're at time. A little bit over, actually.
I thought it was probably a little bit over. Well, that was fun.
That was a good one. That was a good talk.
Mm-hmm. You look like you're pensively looking at your screen there, Peter. Did something happen?
I was gonna call out Jarrod for his Apple and Windows research, but I'll let it slide, Jarrod, this time.
I have the net worth thing up here, and Apple's definitely closed the gap in the recent years.
They're good at that.
They're still behind, but they've definitely closed the gap.
Yeah, Apple's Big Daddy Apple's powerful. Don't mess with them.
Yeah.
That's because they have stupid consumers.
Doesn't matter what type, as long as they pay.
I don't care. They're stupid consumers.
Are you a stupid consumer? Let us know in the comments down below. We would love to hear what you think about Apple, Windows, and anything else we discussed during this podcast. We're Live Connection. We're live twice a week, Sundays and Thursdays. We do a whole pile of different stuff. So feel free to check out our Discord for more information on us, our YouTube channel, our Twitter, all the usual links. They're down below. And other than that, I hope you have a good Sunday.
I cannot believe that the guy who pre-ordered Fallout 76 is calling other people stupid consumers.
I don't think I pre-ordered it.
Did you not?
No, I bought it. I bought it after it launched.
No,
Still
you had
stupid
the beta.
consumer.
You had the beta. I remember.
You did have the
Jarrod.
beta.
You had the beta. You can't hide from me.
Oh, I did have the beta. That's right. In all fairness, I didn't think it'd be as bad as it was.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone did.
No.
I thought it was actually going to be. I didn't think it was going to be any better than Fallout 4, but I didn't think it was going to be that much of a dumpster fire on launch. So. Oh man, yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I'll take that one. I'll accept that, Jack.
It makes you feel like you're in a dystopia.
I try to forget some of the bad choices I make in life, Jack, and you just swing them right in my face.
That's what I'm here for. I'm here to be the great equalizer. If you want to see more of the great equalizer, we'll see you next week at next week's podcast. Bye, everyone.
See you guys.
See ya.